Hello everyone. We have a game with the black pieces against Regis, rated 1528. So we get a Caro Kann on the board, and now we have an advanced Caro Kann. So we develop our piece outside of our pawn chain, and he immediately attacks it. So if you go back this way, he's going to continue to attack it. He's also going to play e6, messing up your structure. So I'm going to go back on this diagonal so that he cannot play e6. That's White's whole idea, is to get it off of this diagonal, go and then play e6. Now he goes here saying, we kicked your bishop, haha. But that's okay. We're going to play e6. I don't mind this bishop here. It does cover another important diagonal. And this pawn is a little out of place, considering it's not going to be attacking my bishop. So that one turn, okay, he wasted a turn. We wasted a turn with our bishop. He's now continuing the attack over here, but there's no bishop to harass. So none of this is for free. So this gives us time to create our own play, do our own stuff. So I think c5 immediately makes a lot of sense. He's playing on the flank. Let's play in the center. So he supports the pawn that we were attacking, and our king is fully defended on this diagonal, which is very nice to have, and that's why I don't mind the bishop inside. So I just want to continue developing. So I bring the knight out and attack the pawn. He defends the pawn one more time. Okay, that makes sense. I think now we should apply pressure to his pawn chain even further. Queen b6 attacks it a third time and also keeps the bishop in check. So maybe takes is what he'll decide on. But after bishop recaptures, he does not have b4 because the pawn would hang. So he defends it a third time this way. But this allows us to take his pawn and threaten the rook. To protect the rook, you have to move the knight. The knight would hang here. If it goes here, the pawn hangs, the bishop's hanging. But if we start with this, that looks fine. We could also maybe even throw in c4, kicking the bishop back somewhere. Then take the pawn. Then when he moves the knight and we take another pawn, then the bishop's not under attack. You could also just throw this in, and when he takes with the pawn, we go here, but then he develops to a, well, no, then it's hanging. He can't go there. So if the rook's hanging, he has to go here. Takes, takes, knight here. Bishop out, rook over, check, knight back. I mean, let's just take the pawn. Who cares what line is, this isn't like a classical tournament chess where you're trying to get your national master or grandmaster norm and you have to really figure out the absolute best. They're all good for black. They're all playable as well, so who cares? I always waste way too much time on moves that are playable. It's not like I'm gonna have to find the move or I'm worse or something like that. It's all good for me. It's just I like to spend time. See, now the rook is in serious trouble. You can't really let it hang because I'm too solid. And he would have had his knight out and maybe even queen development in a great position if he didn't spend moves like this, right? Now, do these two pawn moves have anything to do with what's happening right now in the game? The central pressure, the queen here? No. Do they attack anything? No. Are they taking away squares that my minor pieces want to use? No. I mean, maybe one day you can go to f5, but he'll just take it, and I don't see the point. Also, you can put the knight here and kind of provoke it and get that square anyway. So he moves the knight because you have to protect the rook, but this hangs another pawn. And you might normally do something else. Like you already won a pawn, so let's continue developing or close the structure. But considering taking the second pawn comes with an attack, so he can't just swing the rook over and start developing with initiative because you're going to take the bishop. So because of that circumstance, I'm going to take the second pawn, go after the bishop. Now the bishop covers any rook attacks, so my queen feels safer. It also walks into a super strong move. I guess rook over there. Also, this pawn's hit. So you take it, you're threatening the bishop. So if he takes it, you win a piece. Okay, so pawn takes looks good, knight here looks good. But pawn takes is forcing and maybe better. So if he doesn't want to lose a piece, where does he put the bishop? I don't know, let's say here. Then I can still go knight here, pawn up, bishop out. So let's remove the c pawn off the c5 square, which develops our bishop. It wins free stuff, undefends the center, comes with new ideas, lots of things. And we're up 3 pawns, just 3 pawns, for no reason. This whole pawn chain that is like the core of white's position has disappeared. So he moves the bishop, which stares at a pawn, so non-threatening. And now we have our options ahead of us. If we attack the bishop with a pawn, and let's just say, for argument's sake, he goes here, what did we accomplish? I would say nothing. This comes with the threat. He has to defend the bishop because of this square. And maybe take this pawn and hit the rook. If the rook has to move again, somewhere, I mean, then we can go back. He's going to bring the rook back. We'll give it a check. He'll take with the bishop. We'll take with the queen. We'll have picked up a 4th pawn. I mean, that all looks fine. Let's do that. Not because I want a 4th pawn, but it forces him to find the best moves, or he loses immediately, just collapses. Like, he's already completely lost, but, you know, he'll resign in a few moves if he doesn't find this. I guess, but process of elimination, you have to find it. But this allows me to go down this forced sequence that just gives us the exact same position, but I'm up a pawn. What did he do? He moves the bishop and takes a pawn. The problem with this is it doesn't threaten anything. It's not like it hits a rook, right? So we can take his rook, which is just hanging. His bishop's also hanging. And just so you guys know, taking a pawn like this significantly increases the strength of my rook. So you might not, even if it is hanging, you might not want to take it. So let's take, I mean, we could take with the queen and force a winning endgame. We take with this. Ooh. Now let's take with this because of all the threats. Either way is fine, you're up everything. He now goes for the knight, which is the wrong thing to do. Not because the knight hasn't moved and the bishop is obviously better, which is true, but because it vacates this diagonal, which allows us to throw in this check. Now we get to pick up the other bishop for free, and this is still trapped. So he desperados it with a check. Let's recapture. We're up 10 points of material. We have this. The knight has to defend the other one, so he moves with check. Fine. One improving move for free is not going to make up for 10 points of material. So we just go back home, and it doesn't really matter what he does. Let's throw in this check to get a little more access to this side of the board. This bishop is a hero, always protecting these ideas for the entire game. Keep in mind, all squares on a chessboard might be important. So he goes this way. It allows for some weird checks, but what's the point really? So, I mean, this rook is the only thing not really doing anything. And this bishop. So let's move one of them. Let's just do the bishop. It's a minor piece, so it should be first. Comes with threats. Kicks his only active piece out of our position because it's in a weird spot. So now he has to go back, which is not what you really want. So we could bring in the rook and infiltrate. There are also funny looking moves like g6, which are totally, good moves. You can even improve the bishop if you wanted, but we'll just leave it here as a defender. We don't need to do anything crazy with it. Okay, let's bring in the rook, and we can just infiltrate. Keep it simple. Many ways to win this position, so don't stress about what moves I'm picking. As long as you're not blundering, you should be fine. And even if you are blundering, as long as it's not your queen, like even if you blunder a rook, you're still completely crushing. So he pushes more pawns, but this is weird. It undefends this square for my queen, so that looks really bad for him, giving me crazy access. There's also just this, and then take his knights. I think I might just go with that. Let's just bring in the last piece. We're up 10 points, so I'm going to sack to clarify. You know, when I'm up, I always give my rooks for minors. So he goes here, which, I mean, I'm going to just throw in the trade because whether he opens up the G file or gives me the rook, it's both good for me. So now he goes this way. A bit weird because, like, isn't this some checkmate sequence? So instead of giving up my rook, I'm noticing the newly opened G file, which give you two new ideas, two new candidate moves you wouldn't otherwise look at. If you move the rook over and he goes here, I guess, then check, mate. Oh, so it's just, you have various mating patterns. I think you have it with the rook and the queen, but we'll just go for the mate in 2 because it's forced, so it's faster. And look at this position. And those pawns he opened in the beginning, well, he has one of them on h6, but is it really helping him out? No. Absolutely not. So we have one inaccuracy, 95% game. So everything should make sense. Let's talk it through. We get the Caro Kann on the board, development and center. Now when they do this, you do have options, but not really. As mentioned, if you go back, e6 comes, and even though you're winning that pawn, you will face trouble on the light squares because your structure is messed up. So if you're not a computer, don't do that. Instead, just go back to the other diagonal and say, hey, this move is out of place. And that's what you do. And this bishop protects this diagonal from queens and bishops, making it easier for you to push c5. So it's helpful. Okay, center and development. Center and development, better square for the knight. Development and center. Development, center. And all these moves were kind of for free because they're forcing him to defend the pawn. And now I mentioned that this was hit 3 times and there's no way to defend it with the bishop properly because you would hang the pawn. You could easily just move your light square bishop though and have the queen look at it, or you could just take the pawn so you don't have the weakness. But he decides to go this route and blunders immediately. I was wondering, there were a bunch of different lines, but yeah, you see even the very, very most technical is to close the position first, then take the pawn by a little bit. But after that, very technical nuance, it's just take the pawn for -2 winning game. So that's what we do. I actually hadn't considered queen b3, which the computer recommends. In that case, if you take the rook, he'll take this. You go here? How's that supposed to work though? If you do take the rook, what's his threat? Oh, just to keep the queen trapped. Because this is a queen trap idea after castling. So if he takes here, how do we break out, let's say? I kind of want to do it immediately. Okay, so yeah, this is an option. If I wasn't sure of exactly what I wanted to do, I might not have taken the rook here because I'm already up material. So I have my win condition. I might have just taken the queen, which is slightly worse, but still good for black. And he'll take this way, I'll take it in the center. Well, I assume he would take this way, but either way, you have good play for your pieces. You're up a pawn, he has a bunch of weaknesses. I probably would have gone down this line because the other one is unclear to me. I'm not an engine. But anyway, he develops it. I mean, he protects it the much more natural way because no one's going to play this unless they're also, you know, computerish and calculated that. We take free stuff. Then we take free stuff, and it's -5. So just totally crushing. You're up a bunch of pawns, and now we just improve a piece for free. Free stuff. And he makes it even worse. Free stuff. Improving move for free. Free stuff. Free stuff. Force move. Force move. Improving move for free. Developing move for free. Developing move, not for free, but still a developing move, so it's powerful. Improving a piece, kind of for free, because all trades are wins for us. And then the game is just over once he opens the G file. You have to know that that can't be good for you when your king is exposed like this. So hopefully this helps you in your chess understanding. Submit your rapid games in my Discord and I will review them for free. Good luck in your chess and goodbye.